welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
It's like, do you know what? It's like...
I'm the most not tired after a UK Games Expo I've ever been.
That's because you've been like, you have literally been doing a video kind of training montage as, you are Rocky. Do you know what I mean? That's what I've been saying all the time. Every kind of couple of minutes, it's kind of like...
Dum, 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 dum. Dum, dum, dum. Dum, dum, dum.
It is. It's like you're doing the kind of the lifting weights and chasing chickens around the yard and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised when you walk away from UK Games Expo.
If I had to chase chickens around the yard, I'd end up being a vegetarian. That's for sure. Because I wouldn't catch any bloody chickens.
I'd end up hungry for fighting. I don't Quick, the blue ribbons have escaped. There's a biscuit boost hiding.
Biscuit boost.
Biscuit boost. Biscuit boosts are one of these things that it's like the transformation of snacks in the fridge and the difference between them becoming more enjoyable and becoming absolutely horrific. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay?
Go on.
Biscuit Boost, absolutely amazing if you put it in the fridge for a bit, because like the kind of the toffee interior, the caramel kind of solidified, so you're able to bite off all the chocolate, and then you're left with some kind of caramel tube, and then you're able to slowly...
You're the same as my wife.
Do you know what I mean?
Puts anything chocolate based in the fridge, and I'm like, so it tastes less of what you put it in there for.
Yeah, but then on the other side of it, Kit Kat or Whisper. Whisper's one of these things you don't put in the fridge because if it gets too hard, it becomes a hazard to the old teeth. Kit Kat's the same. Yeah. I'm old.
I can understand a Kit Kat. I can understand a Kit Kat. Kit Kat. I can understand a Kit Kat becoming a little bit lethal. Yeah. It would be very easy to get the chocolate off the outside of the wafer then.
Because they're kind of really easy. They come as like room temperature. They're kind of like really, really easy to gently strip off the chocolate. You can't have them on too warm a day because then we've all remember our days at school where you got like the pack lunch and your parental units had decided to stick like a chocolate bar like a Kit Kat in your lunch bag, essentially putting it inside like a silvery aluminium bag, and as the day hotted up you eventually ended up with a sealed bag of kind of like melted nonsense. There was no way of eating that. Yeah.
Do you know why a Kit Kat is sort of the only cannibalistic chocolate?
What do you mean by cannibalistic?
It's kind of like cannibalistic.
What do you mean?
So do you know what the inside, all of the inside, outside of the chocolate, the whole wafery, chocolatey bit, do you know what that's made out of?
No.
Apparently, it's made out of mismolded Kit Kats. They like blend it all up, and it gets put into apparently so. I need to confirm this.
The chocolate.
So that chocolatey wafer thing is made up of mucked up Kit Kats.
The chocolate outside is fine.
Yeah.
But the wafer itself is wafer. But you're saying that the inner cream...
it's wafer with like chocolate within it.
And you're like saying that is literally like...
So I've heard, and I've heard it many times. I'm sure I even heard it when somebody like was like, "No, it can't be," and they looked it up and they were like, "Oh my god, it actually is."
It kind of makes us want me to go on a quest to find, is that generally the creamy filling in most things? Is that what it does? Is it just like they add a bit more cream and they just mush up what there is? Your eyes are down. Are you checking? Are you you're either two things. You're falling asleep because you're very tired.
No.
Or
as it Did you ever wonder what the inside of a Kit inside the wafer? Okay, so it's within the wafer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I thought.
So
yeah.
as it turns out, every break of a Kit Kat bar is its own little Kit Katception. The wafers are filled with other Kit Kats.
That's so weird. That is so.
But that now does beg the question.
Right.
Which came first? The Kit Kat filling or the Kit Kat? Because you can't have made the first Kit Kat if you didn't have mucked up. But they had loads of mucked up Kit Kats because they were testing the Kit Kats. So they're like, just grind them up and we'll put them inside the way.
There was a capitalism discussion to say, right,
it makes perfect sense.
You can have this chocolate sauce cream, and it costs, to do 1,000 bars, it costs 15 quid. Or what you can do is we can take the remnants of all the Kit Kats, and that'll cost 27 pence per 1,000. And Mr. Capitalist went, I know which way I'm going to go. That's exactly that.
Are we recording this comedy interesting gold?
Yeah, of course we are.
Oh, good. It's fine. I would hate for people to not know this. People need to know this.
People need to know. People need to know. I've not even put. I was going to put the backstage stuff.
There you go. Timed.
Right. Okay. Done. Right. Okay. So, I don't even. Do we even bother doing an intro? Because they know it's us. I mean, it's like it's becoming like once every 3 or 4 weeks.
Let's do it. Let's be professional.
Let's be professional. Okay.
For what?
You do the start because I'm always been doing the start. It's about time you do the start. Why
you can't put that pressure on me all of a sudden.
Is that because you're tired?
No.
Right. Okay.
He says drinking a coffee and having a can of Coke ready.
Exactly. It's going to be like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 when they're all in the asylum, the kids' asylum, and they're like, there's generally like somebody putting spoonfuls of coffee into like a can of Coke.
Are you one of these people who drinks coffee at night? Or are these people who like, I don't drink coffee after 4 o'clock?
No, I kind of do. I occasionally do. There's a story about this, which I'll dive into in a minute. But anyway, welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard.
My name's Luke.
And this is my feet are really sore. The UK Games Expo thing. So what's going to happen, right, is basically I'm going to go away and I'm going to play Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West on the PlayStation for about an hour. And in that time, Luke's going to tell you all of his adventures that he had in UK Games Expo. So I'm not sitting here like in a jealous green rage because every single time I'll be like, I can't believe you went. I mean, look, my phone's jealous. This is the colour of my phone. It's jealous. Jealous. Anyway, right, yeah, coffee. Right. So, it's an interesting fact with coffee is that am I one of these people that has been on the cusp of going about and drinking coffee until all hours and then going, I couldn't sleep, and then stopping drinking coffee, and then discovering that stopping drinking coffee or any beverage didn't really make much of a difference anyway, right? So, yes, that was the case. What I did discover, though, is that I read somebody just went, do you find yourself kind of feeling really, really tired and not having an awful lot of energy, but also at the same time, no matter what time you go to bed at night, you feel you can't really kind of get to sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night, and regardless of what you do. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And it's like, oh, you could be missing vitamin K. So I've been...
What's got vitamin K in it?
Vitamin K tablets.
Or is that one where you just have to take the pill?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's probably something like kale or something like that. Kale's got... Are we going to Google?
I'm going to Google it.
You Google it, right.
I've already Googled all the facts and history of Kit Kats. I might as well Google this.
You might as well just like absolutely mess up your Facebook kind of stream is going to be absolutely wild. I think kale's probably...
Green leafy vegetables such as broccoli and spinach, and very likely, I would imagine, kale.
Kale's probably got vitamin K in it. But I do
cruciferous vegetables.
I don't know what that is.
That's things like Brussels sprouts and cabbage and stuff. They are cruciferous vegetables.
There is a popular kind of myth, and I don't know if it is a myth or an urban legend, that basically says that Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli are all part of the same kind of plant, and it's just
cruciferous.
And it's just like, depending where you get your bits from, that's where you get your actual kind of vegetables from. And that also...
Almost, yeah.
That technically broccoli is a man-made plant. Is it something that it wouldn't necessarily exist in nature, and that it's only really kind of exists because it's been kind of made...
Engineered. That's probably the case for quite a few vegetables, though, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
A lot of vegetables that are bastardized versions of whatever grew in the wild, and I would imagine.
That's why, your journey, when you journey and you sit down for 5 minutes to yourself on your great white telephone, and you occasionally look at kind of like these short videos, you get these like, this is what fruit used to look like, and they do like pictures of like banana used to look completely different from what the banana used to look like now. In fact, it's like all these weird facts that now swim about my head, like the banana that we have today that all bananas come from is like from one specific banana, and it just kind of like is a relative of all these bananas, and there's all things like that they basically, how they've made kind of fruit and stuff like that. So we like to educate you on this show. We don't like to... do you know what? I've got this gamer chair now. Can you see it? Do you see my gamer chair? Like,
I've sat in a gamer chair.
You've got in your gamer chair. I've not. This is my son's
with my little
chair.
cushion.
This is my son's gamer chair, and I'm thoroughly enjoying how comfy it is. And
nice.
But it's got these like little sidearm rests that have got buttons, and my ADHD is not going to let me flip and stop pressing. Halfway through, I'm just going to sink into the ground as like I just start kind of play. Will you just leave stuff alone? No, I can't. The reason that we're talking about food is because there's absolutely nothing to talk about in terms of board games. That was going to be the lead-in, but it just sounds ridiculous because everybody knows it was UK Games Expo this weekend. I've already alluded to the fact that Luke went there with Elliot.
Hey, I did.
I was going to say you should actually get him in here and just have him saying hello and saying whether or not he had a good or a bad time, but I don't know if that would be... I'll do that next time.
We can do that next time.
We can do that next time. Because did you go all the days? Did you just go both days, or?
No, I went. So usually for Expo for me would be going up on the Thursday. At some point you arrive like Thursday afternoon, and I'd leave. I usually kind of leave somewhere in the early afternoon Sunday because I'm usually well and truly done by then, and I'm knackered, and I miss the kids, and I know the dog's been not eating because it hasn't seen me and stuff like that. But this time, so I said to work, I was like, well, my plan is I'm just going to go on Friday, and I'm just going to go. All I'm going to do is just going to go around like all the people that we've worked with, just say hello, see how everybody is, And I did a few sort of sales meetings and stuff like that. But I tried not to book many meetings in, And then I drove all the way back from Birmingham Friday after everything shut, and then me, Elliot, and my mates Steve and Ian went all the way back again on the Saturday and had a thoroughly lovely day.
Steve and Ian, one person, or is Steve and Ian?
Steve and Ian. Steve is one of his godfathers, and Ian is a very close friend of both of us. They're close enough friends that they're both referred to as Uncle Ian and Uncle Steve. So they're they are. They're those people. It's a very special category of friends.
Yes.
In which you refer to your kids as Uncle or Auntie so and so, and they're not even remotely a blood relative of yours.
Yeah. And then you grow up kind of wondering, when they actually tell you the truth. You're like, all right, well they had nothing to do with you. Oh, okay. Well that's nice. Nice to know you lied to us about that, as well as the whole other things like.
And then they have kids and they get it. They do it.
Yeah. So you'll be an Uncle Luke in some places. Are you an Uncle Luke?
Yeah.
But
I think I'm sort of slightly. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Not sure.
You need to check that, because I'll be saying, like, I mean, I'm not being funny, but it's only because I'm like a pernickety type of person, that if I went round to somebody's house and I discovered that they were just calling me Richard, whereas when they came round the house, my kids were calling them like Uncle Phil or whatever, then
you'd be a bit like put out.
I've
Hang on a minute. I've got titling. I've got title.
Exactly.
Yeah, where's my title?
You got status in our house coming round to you. I come round to your house. I'm nothing. What's that all about?
I need the landed gentry.
Don't get official kind of stuff. I don't get to take them to the zoo now. Then I'm not paying for anything if I've not got official title status. How far are you from Birmingham?
Takes about. It was the traffic and everything was very, very kind to me both days. Never even hit a jot of traffic.
Wow.
Just stuck the cruise control on at just over 70 miles an hour because calculations, and sailed there in 2 hours and 10 minutes, door to door each time.
That's all right. That's not too bad, is it?
That's not too bad.
That's like a podcast and a half.
Yeah. And do you know what I listened to?
What did you listen to?
I listened to, well, first of all, I listened to, on one of the trips, I listened to 5 Games to Doomsday. He spoke to, I think it was Carl Fung or Lung. Carl Fung.
Okay.
Fung.
Okay.
He's a war games designer.
Yeah.
Very interesting guy. As always, 5 Games to Doomsday, fabulous interviewer, does a great job. And then I stumbled across that he'd started doing he's doing a D&D round the table where Ben is the games master, dungeon master, or whatever you want to call it. And he's got four friends. Yeah, 4 friends doing there. It was I've listened to the first episode of that. And it was great, really good.
I can imagine. That would be brilliant.
There's a few RPG things I've started listening to now. I'm really enjoying them. I think I need to have like a reasonable sort of level of connection with whoever's doing it. I don't necessarily mean I need to know them.
Yeah.
But like knowing Ben, I had no idea of anybody else that was at the table, but the connection of Ben and knowing he'd be a fantastic dungeon master, and he is, accents coming out of all places, it's brilliant. So that was good, but also I'm a massive fan of No Roads Barred.
Oh yeah.
And they've got a like spin-off channel which is called Chaotic Neutral. And they've done a whole load of there was one they did that I started watching, and it wasn't very good, but they've done a load of Call of Cthulhu episodes, and all of them have been brilliant. But because I'm such fans of them and what they do, I've really enjoyed them, kind of thing. So yeah, there's quite a few of that sort of thing.
Are they just mucking about in it? Because I think they get guys that try to do the epic, let's do an epic kind of drama thing. No,
they're very funny with it too. They know when to do, because they're all, like a lot of YouTubers, they're all failed actors. To be fair, actually, I think some of the No Roads Barred lot are actually legit actors, but I think a lot of them are failed actors. So they're all very good at putting on a character and putting on voices and stuff like that. So they get into it like that, but then they also have moments where they just say some stupid stuff and take the mick out of, so it's not all like, I couldn't watch it if everybody was just like, die hard, I'm into my character, this is who I am, don't you dare refer to me as Brian, my actual name, or whatever. I'm not interested in that,
The actual name of Brian. Don't you dare refer to me as Brian. It's not Brian.
I am Zargon, not Brian. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't watch that. Because that just goes against everything I am. I struggle to take anything too seriously. So I struggle to watch anybody who takes anything too seriously. It's kind of not in my nature. So I don't get any enjoyment out of it.
I think if it's your job, fair enough. Do you mean if that is your job? If your job is, I guess if they're an actor, then I expect you, if you're playing a serious part, I expect you to be kind of like serious with it. But if you're just rocking up and it's like some kind of amdram, and you're parking your trailer outside, I'm going to take the piss out of you, basically. Do you know what I mean? You're not getting away with it. It's like if an electrician came round and he was like rewiring part of the house or something, I wouldn't expect him to stop halfway through and just start juggling because he was joking. Do you know what I mean? Oh, or going like that. Look, licking his finger and is this live? Oh, is this live? Oh, is this live? Oh, is this live? I'd expect to have a little bit of seriousness, but I know what you mean. But I think I don't know. Have you ever played like role playing game yourself then?
only once, and I was the games master for it.
Wow.
It was I haven't got the book near me actually. It was the End of the World series once. That Fantasy Flight did. They did these apocalypse. They did a series of 4. One was like a zombie apocalypse one. One was these are ones where you play yourself, or they're designed that you can play yourself. You can make up a character if you want. It's it's not a die-hard rule in it. So they did zombie apocalypse one. Then they did like a Rise of the Machines. And in those, they've even got like variations. So like the zombie one has like the 28 days later, like infected.
Right. Okay.
They will sprint after you. Unless you've got cardio, you're screwed. But they've also got like Night of the Living Dead shuffling after you kind of thing. And the same as like they had Rise of the Machines, they had like Terminator, and I think almost like a slightly Matrixy kind of thing, and etc. Then they had like Dawn of the Gods or whatever they called it. So it was like the Rapture and or like a gate from hell opening up or something. And then Aliens was the other one.
Is it typical Fantasy Flight that they cancelled it after about four things as well?
I think it was only ever intended as four books. They sort of said, right, here's these 4 books that are coming, and we did the zombie one, and it was great fun. So what I did is I bought an ordnance survey map of like kind of where we live.
Yeah.
So there was me as the games master, and I think like 5 or 6 people did it, and 2 of them were a couple. And I said to them, look, if you want to still be a couple in it, fine. Be you. You carry on being a couple if you want, or just be you. And then the other thing we said was like family, kids, all that. Just ignore that they ever did exist or do exist. It's just you in this situation kind of thing. Because that's the big sort of dilemma. Is just like, oh Lord, what would you do in the apocalypse? Like, well, where are my kids, or where's my mum and dad, or where's my sister, and blah blah. So we just said, let's just take them out of the equation, and it's just and one of the cool things you could do as well, you could decide, do you start with the apocalypse, like you're driving home from work and suddenly something weird happens, and the beginning of it, or do you start 5 months into the apocalypse and everything's gone to shit, and you're already starting to try and survive kind of thing. And I think we did it where it had already started. It was like a few weeks in, so everybody knew there were zombies. That was the thing. We had great fun with it, and I did. It's a pretty loose system from what I gathered. It's fairly rules light. It had some sort of D6 system, and I can't remember how that worked, but I did some things. I added some things to it. Like I said, at some point, I might hand you a folded piece of paper.
Yeah.
You could read it. You could tell anybody anything you like. You could just tell them exactly what it says, blah, blah, blah. You could just never show it to anyone. Right? So it's just what's on it comes from you, not them officially saying, oh, yeah, it does say that. So, and there was a few things I did. And like, I was very keen to make sure that it wasn't like tried to be on rails. I didn't try and like go, right, okay, this is where I want them to go, and then I want them to go here, and they're going to do this, and I wanted to just see what they could do. So I did. So in my sort of book that I wrote loads of like characters that they could just stumble across. Like, oh, they might meet this person here, and I had no idea where this person was, or I might have had some ideas, but I just thought, oh yeah, okay, they're going to meet Simon now, and blah blah blah. So, and then like at some points they were hunkered down in this building or whatever, and they said one of them was like on watch or whatever, and so I just handed that person a bit of paper, and it literally just said nothing. And so then they're all like, what's going on, and he was like, well, you're asleep, doesn't matter. and then eventually it gets to the morning, they were like, well, did you find anything out? And he was, no, nothing. And suddenly they were all just like,
that's amazing.
What do you mean nothing? It just, and it was just a little spark of moment. I was just thought, that would work really well, because I bet it will lay this little seed of doubt. And it did, and they were all just like, what do you mean nothing? well, surely it was something. He's like, there's nothing. It's fine. It's nothing. Stop worrying about it.
And it probably went like, honest, I swear, it was nothing. And they're just like,
he was just like, it's nothing. Don't worry.
Literally nothing. Hand on my heart.
It was perfect.
Nothing.
And then they met this really weird guy, Simon, in a pub, and I'd made some little props and stuff. So Simon was this really weird guy. They break into this pub that's like just down the road from me, and it's on the river. And they break into this pub, and there's this guy who's just sat in this pub. There's big bay windows that look out over the river. It's on this little T junction in the river, and it's where a marina and a jetty is. It's a really nice little pub. And this guy was literally just sat in a chair, just looking out the window. And he on his lap, he had a rucksack, and he was just kind of sitting there with the rucksack in his lap, with his arms around it. And he was really vague, and he just talked like this, and he really was very monotone, and he was really emotionless, and he didn't really his voice never really changed, and he seemed really calm about all this situation. And every now and then he'd mention his wife, or he'd mention his kids, and blah blah blah, and he'd make little vague statements that put the willies up everybody. And eventually they wrestled this rucksack off him. My friend, who is like a die-hard, she's a master's degree level woman, very intelligent. Well, she's like a marketing executive, did a master's in feminism in the modern world and all sorts of things. She's an extremely intelligent woman. It was amazing how quick she was to nearly kneecap a 13-year-old girl behind this bar in this pub. I was like, you see the dark side of people. They got this rucksack off this guy Simon. And in it, they found what was like a scrumpled up piece of paper, and it was a piece of like greaseproof paper.
Yeah.
And it just had some weird like markings on it, little sort of pencil-y markings, and then it just said Haven in a sort of scribbly writing. They looked at it, and they kind of ignored it for a little while, and then eventually they figured out that if they put it on the Ordnance Survey map and lined up some of the markings with like roads and bits of river, it showed where Haven was. So then they went off looking for Haven and stuff like that. So
that sounds
we had really good fun with it.
Best time. That sounds like the best.
Yeah, well, it was just one sort of like afternoon, evening. I think we probably did it for about 5 or 6 hours or something like that. And we just had the best crack. And I have actually got, and a friend of mine has got he's got all of it. But I've got this.
Wow.
The Alien core book, because Free League. If you've ever seen the Free League stuff, they do Alien, they do like Blade Runner, they do a Lord of the Rings one which is called One Ring. They do a whole load of them. I think they're by the looks of it, I think they're like I said, I don't know RPGs, but their books are they're just like, if you love the world that it's set in, they're just beautiful. They're just nice things to have. And my mate has got like me and him are both diehard Alien fans. And he's got like everything for Alien. He's got everything currently for Blade Runner. And I think something else from them. And in fact, I saw a really cool one that they've got at UK Games Expo, which I think I'm going to get. It's called... what's it called? It's set in the World War III that never happened. So it's set like a little bit after World War II. And just they had it all sort of laid out on a table, and they had this really cool like map, and then it looked like it had like military encounters where you kind of had it looked like a chits war game, proper little hex encounter war game. Yeah. So I think I might pick that up at some point just because it looked friggin' awesome. And I know there's a few of my group who would like to do like a little one shots. And I'd really like to do like a one shot or two for Alien, and even probably Blade Runner as well. I think you could have a lot of fun. But also I'd really like to do an Apocalypse one again, because that was just so much fun, So yeah, that's I'm not an experienced RPGer by any means, but I've always kind of wanted to get into it to a degree. I don't think I'd ever want to do like a ongoing kind of thing. I think RPGs sing to me in a one shot or maybe a 2 or 3 session one, where you just tell a bit of a story, you do a bit of an adventure, rather than I think like, I mean, as admirable as it is where you hear these people who go, oh yeah, we've been doing this same campaign for like 11 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, It's got to be like those episodes of like Stargate where, you know, it's a 21 episode series and you think, well, only about 7 of them actually told anything of the overarching story. There was all this filler crap, and then there was the reminiscing episode, and you know, where it just looked back and did cuts from all the old episodes. You know, it's like you can't over all that time have been having absolute banger sessions that were just unreal kind of thing. There's got to be a lot of filler crap in there kind of thing.
I think they need to be like 30 minutes of fun. Because I am involved in a campaign that's been going, I think it's maybe 3 years now.
Jeez, but I mean, talk to me about what's gone on in those 3 years. So what is it? What setting is it?
It's like a Blades in the Dark setting.
Oh, I guess you told me about this. Yeah. So basically, it's fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like steampunk type fantasy, basically. As I think I alluded, it's kind of almost like Dishonored. If Dishonored was kind of like a thing. So it's kind of all around this electro... And we're at the end, basically. We're about to face off with the big bad. And the issue that we've got with facing off with the big bad is that you always have potentials for people not to be able to make it. But for the last couple of sessions, we want everybody to be able to make it. And so you have to kind of put everything off. But it's been, I don't know, it's been good. Do you know what? It's been good fun, and it's good to have a kind of like an anchor point that is reliable, and you know is kind of like there. That you know that, and also that I'm not having to spend a hell of a lot of time kind of doing prep and stuff like that. I always joke.
Are you the GM?
I'm not the GM. I'm not the GM. I'm just playing. I just play like one of the characters, and it's been quite kind of nice just to have to turn up, have a bit of a laugh for kind of like it only runs for like 2 hours, and then we kind of disappear and we kind of get on with it, and it's been tremendous good fun, and I think, and I've mentioned, you know, it's Chris he's the DM. He just does a stellar job.
I was going to say, hats off to him then, that he's kept it interesting.
We've got like a Wikipedia and stuff like that. That's just there. He's got all the characters kind of there, and as things have grown, you found it, and everybody's kind of like at their final kind of Super Saiyan evolved status, kind of like as they're about to head into like facing the big bad. So it's just waiting to see, and I think it's almost a case of, we're going to end up kind of delaying this, and it's going to be bittersweet because it's all going to happen at the end, and then it's going to finish, and it's going to be like, well, what do we do next? And then it's a case of, do you have a break and do you drift off, or do you start into kind of something else? I don't know. I'm not.
Well, we kind of got that eventually coming with Oathsworn, because you know it was nice because two of the guys, it was supposed to be all of the Oathsworn lot, in fact. That were going. There was supposed to be a third friend of mine, Summers, who was going to come, but at last minute he realised he'd double booked something and he just couldn't do it because it was a thing for his daughter. So absolutely could not. Priorities had to take place there. So it would have been, and it was nice because the two guys who are part of that group as well, they got to meet Jamie Jolly at. And we had a good chat with Jamie, and we just showered him with love and said, you know, we're absolutely fucking loving it. It's so good, you know. And they were all, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, there's every session we're just like at the end of it, we're just like, or at the start when they're on the drive home, then we've had some campaign game that we tried and we were just like all a bit like, you know, like can we be bothered kind of thing. But we've just never hit that point with the Oathsworn at all. In fact, we're like, oh, I can't wait for next week. You know, what's going to be going next sort of thing. So it was really nice for them to be able to, you know, give Jamie that love and, you know, tell him face to face how good it is. And then he showed us his new game, which looks friggin' awesome. But I'll get to that when we talk about UK Games Expo. But so yeah, we you know, I mean, we're only just got over the halfway point, so we're about to start Encounter 13 or Story of 13,
Yeah.
And so we got 9, including this one. We got 9 encounters left, and I wonder what we'll do at that point. You know, I mean, I have got other campaign games we could play, but I think we'll definitely take a bit of a breather,
Just like a palate cleanser. I think
yeah,
you need,
just
I
have
think,
some
I
regular
think you
game
need
nights
to.
and,
Yeah.
you know.
I think the issue is if you've taken part in something and it's been absolutely amazing, that if you jump back into something else straight away, you can't help but compare and contrast.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
what's
that's
happened
a really
before.
good point.
So, if the combat system's slightly less elegant, or if the storytelling doesn't make any sense, or just some base mechanics kind of interrupt the flow of the game and take you back out the game so you're checking stuff and things like that, I think you can be like, you can be ending up kind of being overly critical of stuff that you've done. So I think it's sometimes good to kind of take a break and.
And also again, blowing smoke up Oathsworn's arse. Whatever it is has got a bloody high bar to try and get over, because Oathsworn's just ticking every box. Is, other than like some really niggly little silly things that I could try and complain about. I mean, they're arbitrary at best, kind of thing. So whatever it is, it's got a hell of a hill to climb for us to go, to not compare it to Oathsworn, or even say like, oh god, this is actually even better than Oathsworn, kind of thing,
I wonder if we potentially ask Jamie to come on and defend himself.
That'd be a very good idea. Very good idea.
We shall. I think we shall do some investigations to
I don't know if I've ever heard of him going on a podcast or not.
I think we should.
I think he's ever been on anything I listen to regularly.
No, we could do that.
I could go around his house and record it with him.
You could, yeah.
You could stream in, because he's only down the road.
Well, there you go. Just give him a shout, and we could just get it sorted out. Yeah, obviously, I think potentially the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have good old Seppi coming back on again.
Bloody Seppi. Seppi.
It just turns up.
I haven't spoken to him for a little while, actually. That'd be nice.
If you're not, we've got, I said. And
I think the last time I spoke to him was... Oh, no, I have spoken to him since. I think I had a quick call not long after we last recorded.
Run the other direction. Stay away from him. Everything like that. He just keeps stopping up. I just haven't... I need to get back to him and say, right, okay, this is when we're going to potentially kind of do something which is fine. In terms of, now it's really funny because we're doing our usual 36 minutes in, or 38 minutes in, or whatever, and we've not been speaking about UK Games Expo, which is like, fuck, I've been going, we want to know about your coverage. It's like, we're not professionals, like, I was gonna call them by their rubbish, their piss take name, Polyhedron Collider, but they're like the Benedict Cumberbatch of the kind of the board game kind of media world, in that you can put two words together, and as long as it's PC, then it kind of works. So I always call them Pokebum Wank Colander, and and it kind of does the same thing, I think it kind of gets it. But they were talking about the UK Games Expo coverage, and they obviously do like kind of very, very good coverage. They're been known as the Top Gear of board game media. However, there is 4 of them, so they're taking the piss a bit. They're not really, and I'm just wondering which one's Jeremy Clarkson. But they obviously had a plan, because Rory had like a sheet where he'd highlighted people he wanted to see. Now, when you were doing your prep for UK Games Expo or UKGE or Expo or whatever, had you had a plan, or would you just like, let's go along and see what's shaking?
I did. I had like a vague plan. Like I kind of went through the list and was like, oh, okay, cool, so and so's there. Okay, cool, so and so's there. And then I just went to the far corner of Hall 1 and just snaked my way all the way through it. And there was, like I said, there were a few meetings I booked in, so I had every now and then I'd hear some weird noise in my pocket and go, oh, it's an alarm. Oh, right, that's it, because I've got to go to see so and so.
All right.
So yeah, I just like I said, I was just trying to just get round, and there was still a few people I missed because they were, when I got to them, they were talking to somebody or they weren't there or whatever. Yeah. So I didn't get to everybody, sadly, but I got to a lot of people, which was great. And it's always nice to see people that you don't even necessarily have ever had a video call with. You've only ever emailed them and something like that. So it's nice to be able to sort of say hi, and it's amazing how many hugs I get. It's very lovely. It's quite a nice.
You're quite huggable, I think.
That's true.
I mean,
I am something you look like. I look like you want to have a hug.
I
from
think
it. You
do
look,
you know
look
what?
like you're going to get a good hug.
It's a
and
possibility.
Give a good hug.
That if when we meet again, and there is a when is instead of a if. I might cry actually if you give me a big enough. I might actually just let it in some kind of big emotional kind of dam breaking moment end up flooding.
As long as that's the only release.
I might be like what's his face in Austin Powers. Just go. Sorry, I farted.
If I squeeze you hard enough, I'll make that happen. If you squeeze it
exactly, just lift me up, and it's like, oh my goodness. And it's like, you'd be like, that's an unusual place to keep your hall pass in your front pocket. It's like,
it's nice though, because like there's a lot of hugs I get that I know I'm going to get a hug. Like, do you know Conor McGooey? It's Inside Up Games.
Yes.
Literally if I had to rank people, he's in the top 3 in the industry. I love the man dearly. He's an absolute sweetheart of a guy, and I've been very lucky to spend time with him outside convention time. I've met all of his family, and his family have met my family and stuff like that, and they're all beautiful people, annoyingly beautifully Canadian people. And I love the fact I got to see his kids again this time, and all of them come up and give me hugs, and Connor gives the best hugs. He's a fantastic hugger. So, like, I know when I see Connor and Dom, his wife, and the kids, I know I'm ready for hugs. So, like, you position yourself ready for a hug. But then sometimes you go up and you see someone, and you're like, oh yeah, so and then suddenly you're like, oh, they're like, oh no, they give you a big hug, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, I wasn't ready for the hug. I was stood slightly sideways, so now it's a weird hug.
It's kind of like
I hadn't prepared myself.
I wasn't ready. My shoulders needed to kind of stretch and warm myself up. I got big arms.
So yeah, I got a lot of hugs that I did not expect to get a hug, but I was very. Like I said, I like a hug, so I'm fine with that. But I imagine in this industry, or certainly in this hobby, there's a lot of people who don't like hugs. They're not touching people, and then suddenly they're like, oh my god, I'm getting a hug.
Exactly, exactly. I think there are some people that are kind of like, well, if I don't really know you, then don't kind of offer the arms. And it's like, well, everybody gets the arms, and the occasional cupping. It depends on how well you know. Yeah, but that's kind of like, because I've heard was it quite busy? Because my always
Jesus. So Friday, like with Expo, it usually goes. Certainly for it's been a bit weird for the last few years because it's kind of always been ramping back up.
Yeah,
COVID, like the first 1 or 2 after COVID was super weird, especially when they only had like half the halls filled and stuff. So they were very weird. But then, like, I remember last year was the first one where it just felt like it was properly back. It felt like the Expo again and stuff like that. So that was it was busy. And like Friday, you get like it's pretty busy, but you can move around nice and easy. But you're at a proper convention. There's lots of people.
Yeah.
But then, oh God, yesterday was just, I mean, it was rammed, like proper rammed.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of people. I'm fine with it. I used to be a doorman, so like I'm fine with moving through crowds and I know how to gesture people out of the way without launching them over a table kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. But like also I had my son with me, so I'm always kind of like either he's just in front of me or I know he's just behind me, so I'm always kind of just that made it that little bit trickier to traverse the crowds. But they're like this year was quite nice because they basically kept the hall layout pretty much as it was. Like a lot of people, unless they'd upgraded their booth to a bigger one, a lot of people were where they always they have been for the last year or two.
Yeah.
So that was sort of quite nice. But the trouble is there's some people who are always in the same place, like Games Law. Nothing against Games Law, it's not their fault. But as you come into Hall 1 and you immediately turn left, there's like expo kind of stand, for like merchandise and like a information stand, and I think Games Law's like the next one, and then you got big Catan stand right in front of you. Who the hell's still buying Catan at expos? Everybody knows what Catan is. I always think it's really weird that they're so front and centre, because like who's Catan news to at one of these things?
I think, people who don't need their hobby gatekeeped, they're the people that buy Catan.
Fair enough. I'm not saying you can't buy Catan. I was just thinking,
we don't need this kind of snobbery. Do you know what I mean?
I just think most of the people there know about it. It's just I always wonder why they. I just always wonder why they, because it must cost a lot of money for that stand. I'm not saying they shouldn't have a big stand at expos and stuff.
You kind of are. I mean, I guess.
But I'm surprised they have it there.
But I guess it's kind of like Coke.
Yeah, true.
Because I also
everybody knows what Coca-Cola is. This is a good point, actually.
Okay. So here's a question:
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of Catan?
No, I've never owned one.
Ask me the question.
Because one of my mates had it though.
I don't have a copy of Catan.
I love Catan. I think Catan's great.
I don't have it either.
No.
It might be the possibility that might be the day that I walk in.
And I suppose yeah. Anyway, so
beside the point.
It's turned left. So you got Games Law. And Games Law is just one line. It's like it's a long one. So it's just it's against a wall, really long one. And at all of the retailers, it's always like 3 or 4 deep. It's always people looking over people's shoulder trying to find whatever, little game they're trying to find, whatever. And that aisle is just not wide enough. And it's an aisle that's full of traffic. So it's like everybody is going in, and they're either going straight ahead down one side of Catan, or they're going left at Catan and hitting that Games Law bit straight away, or going right to Hall 2. But and because of where the entrance is to Hall 1, most people are either going left, because it obviously carries on to the rest of Hall 1, because it's not in the middle, as it were. It's in the to a corner. So it's just such a ridiculous choke point. Like when we were leaving, or we were sort of getting ready to leave, and it was a case of, is there anything anybody, and it was like, let's just go back to so-and-so, and we did that thing of like, let's cut across one, because you could see that it wasn't as busy over there, because you were just you're about to walk up to Games Law, and like certain bits, like, I mean, all of it was pretty busy, but there's certain bits where it's just like, it's like standing in a queue, it was like you could barely move, and if you struggle with that environment, there'd have been a lot of people who really struggled with that environment. It wasn't too bad with the like bags and trucks, and there was a few, but there wasn't too many.
You mean was it that people actually kind of like carrying kind of like small trucks full of game, really?
Like, those like collapsible,
I know what you mean,
collapsible big 4-wheeler things.
Yeah,
there was one I saw her twice. Bless her. In fact, I saw it twice, 2 days apart. I saw it Friday and the Saturday. It was one of those big collapsible ones, and it was a dad pulling it, and it was a little girl. I would have said somewhere around 5 or 6 years old, about my daughter's age. Just curled up asleep in it. There was barely anything else in it except her. And both days I saw her curled up, sleeping the absolute deepest of sleep. Bless her, she was having a whale of a time. She was as comfy as you could be. But I saw her like probably 24 hours apart, still asleep, sort of thing. But that thing was, definitely awkward, But I think I only remember seeing him and maybe 2 or 3 others. And I saw a few like rolling suitcases and stuff, and I didn't see too many like the big game bags. Yeah. In fact, most people were sensible enough to keep them like down at the side, sort of thing, and carry them. But I think it was so busy that most people were aware that they couldn't have this frigging great thing hanging off their back, kind of thing.
Like,
even the most socially unaware people were aware of that. At least that's how bad it was, you know.
Because you do get these people that look like the old women out of Labyrinth. You know, the ones that have got literally the entire house.
They look like Howl's Moving Castle.
Exactly.
You know?
It's kind of like moving through, going, "I'm just trying to buy some board games." And it's like, you don't need to buy that many.
The amount of people who just stop at random places in this just generally moving flow of people, and then just suddenly decide to stop and have a chat. You're like,
what are you doing?
Get out of the way.
They've got a sign on your back just saying the contraflow's now on, kind of thing. You know what I mean, there's now this, we've had to close this lane ahead of anybody going to pass. Was there anything that you saw that kind of like really impressed you, that you kind of went, "Ooh, I'm gonna have to keep an eye. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this bad boy"?
Yeah, there was a game. I didn't get a chance. I'd seen stuff about it leading up to it, so I was sort of interested, and then I didn't get to get a close look at it when I was there.
Yeah.
But a game called Wayfarer's Tale. Have you ever heard of the illustrator Tristram Rossin?
No, but we can Google him.
He's done a lot of games. He's a really, really good illustrator. He did the I think it's like Pebble Harbour or something like that. It's called.
I'm gonna find
it was a really nice sort of family game that came out, and he did Mariana Trench, which is a really nice little solo game. He did the artwork for that, but I think he's done the artwork for Wayfarer's Tale. Really cool illustrator. I really like his style, and he seems a very nice guy. That game looks really nice. Then I suppose I've got to talk about Avalon. So Avalon from Shadowboard Games, which is the Jamie Jolly and team, creator of Oathsworn. Avalon is the next game in their thing, coming to crowdfunding somewhere in the next, I think he said like 3 or 4 or 5 months, something like that. And he had 2 beautiful, basically production copies, 3D printed minis and stuff, but the everything was, in fact.
Oh, here we go.
I have here.
Here we go.
A promo
okay.
of Excalibur with a gold embossing, which he very kindly gave my son.
Which you stole off your son?
No, I was putting together the minis for him and priming them earlier, and it was in the bag, and I was like very conscious of making sure it wasn't just get lost in a bag for existence. So I thought, I'll put it up on my desk where it won't get lost. So Avalon is a very cool setting. So you have this kind of big round board, but it's made up of like sort of orange segmented jigsaw pieces. And it starts off, it's all very light blue and cloudy, like fog of war kind of thing. And you eventually, as you explore, you reveal these things. And like within these things, there'll be the legendary artifacts, or there'll be mythical beasts. And it's an asymmetrical game where you are one of 4 factions. 2 of those are revealed at the moment, which is is it Morgana? Morgana? Is that Morgana the baddie?
Yeah.
Morgana and Guinevere are the 2 revealed, and there's two that will be revealed during the campaign. And the sort of story is that Arthur sort of like shattered Morgana, and Morgana Arthur was kind of like lost. I can't remember exactly how it came, but basically Guinevere is trying to raise Arthur again and stuff like that. And it's a really cool game with multi-use cards. So cards are like you use a card, but you spend cards to use the cards, and you use the cards for like their battle ability or their special ability or stuff like that. And then you go through a load of seasons, and at the end of each, I think it's 3 or 4 seasons. At the end of each season, there's a big battle. So you spend each season gearing up for a big battle, and then for the big battle at the end. And it just like you can ramp up So each works asymmetrically. So like Morgana doesn't like Guinevere and that they create settlements and try and like control like castles and fortresses on the board, but Morgana doesn't care about that sort of thing. So Morgana like piles all of the corpses of the battles together and draws out the souls and raises armies of the dead and stuff like that, and they go around like eating up monsters and getting more powerful from the monsters that they slay, and stuff like that. So it just looked, and so I mean, Jamie Johnny does a far better job of selling his game than I do, but it looks stellar, like truly stellar. Is
that another campaign game?
No. It's like
one.
So you can play. In fact, I know it's 3 seasons you play.
Yeah.
Because he said like 3 seasons, 4 players. Like it's going to be a good 3.5 hours. But you could do a 3-player 3 seasons would be about 2.5 hours, or you could play 2 seasons in either one and sort of shorten them that way. So it's quite nice that you can sort of tweak it like that. There's going to be a miniatures version and a standees version, same as they did for Oathsworn, so a little bit easier for entry or for people who don't need the plastic. But yeah, looks stellar, really, really stellar. I suppose I better champion Mark Cooke as well. Actually, I would like to think I would do this regardless of the fact that he's a friend of mine.
Never heard of him. Never.
You've seen him. He's like a lighthouse. You know.
He's kind of. He is. He's certainly got a big bright eye.
Yeah.
Hey, see, bright eye games. You like that? Here you go. He's like a cyclops.
So yes,
with a
Mark
bright
Cooke
eye.
of Bright Eye Games fame.
Yeah.
So he had 2 games release at Expo, which was great. 2 little games. One is Sumo, which is a 2-player trick-taking game, which I haven't had a chance to have a play yet, but it was a case of either of these games was 12 quid or both of them for 20 quid, and I told him to put 2 aside for me before the Expo started. So, and then the other one, which I have played, is called Takuri Taking, and it's a very unusual picture because it's got that one at the bottom there. It's got odd pictures of dinosaurs drinking sake, because apparently dinosaurs love sake. Don't get me wrong. So in this game, up to 4 players, I think it is. Although he said there's no kind of real reason you couldn't play 5 players. You have a deck of cards, and on those cards, on the back of the cards is a sake bottle, and it has 10 to 1 in little layers on it, and you get dealt a hand of 7 cards. On the other side of the cards is just kind of like numbers, basically. So and it might have an extra rule. So it might say 4, 3, 2, 1, or it might say 3, 3, 3. All players pass a card to the left, or it might say 7, 7, 7. Something like that.
Yeah.
And what you do is everybody gets dealt 7 cards, and you choose one of those cards, you put it face down in front of you so it's showing the sake bottle. And you get a little wooden stick, and you put that on the 10. Mm-hmm. And everybody's drinking sake and passing sake. So then you play a card. So you can either play a card from your hand face up for the numbers, or you can play it face down to put another sake bottle down.
Yeah.
If you play it face down, you put another thing on the 10. And if you play it face up, so if it was a 4, 3, 2, 1, you would then go to a sake bottle anywhere on the table or of anybody who's playing, and take it down by 4, and take 1 down by 3, and 1 down by 2, and 1 down by 1. And you can only ever play a card if you can achieve the reduction of all of those numbers spread across. You know, you can't do any bottles more than once. And if you get a bottle down to 0, and it's got to be exact, so you can't take a bottle that's on 2 and use 4 on it to take it to. You've got to use 2 on it. So if you take it down to 0, you get that bottle. If you flip it over, and if it's just a normal card, you score it. Yeah. Or there might be a dummy sake bottle. It just means you don't score it. So you could kind of use up other people's sake bottles, and then basically you have you start off with, I think it's like 10 of these little discs, although that was a little promo thing for Expo. Usually you just have a bit of pen and paper.
Yeah.
So then the scoring is, for every bottle you scored, you get 1 point. For every bottle you have in front of you that is 3 or more, you get -2 points.
Oh, okay.
So say I then got -1, and say you scored in that round. This and round end when nobody can play any more cards. And if you can't play a card because of the numbers, you have to put it down in front of you as a bottle. So at the end of the round, you could end up like, oh crap, I'm going to put a bottle down that I know is going to get me -2. So I scored -1, and say you scored 4, then everybody gives the person who scored the most points.
Yeah.
Everybody gives them discs equal to the difference between each other's score. So if you scored 3 and I scored -1, I would give you 4 discs.
Wow. And
the game ends when someone busts, and whoever has the most at that point wins. But it's a fabulous little game, like really, really great little game. Really cheap. I don't know when Mark's going to have it like more available. He sold out, I think, on the Friday. I think he might have sold out a Sumo as well on the Saturday. I'm not sure. But then he had another game to show that I'm really, really excited by. It's called Kuri or Kauri, which is a tree native to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a little bit root light. Would maybe one way of saying it, in that you've got these 4 factions that work in a very distinct way, kind of thing. It's very much got that, or the what was the game that came before Root from Lady Games?
Vast.
Plays the cave.
Vast.
Yes, thank you.
Vast.
Yeah, maybe it's got that vast Root feel. Very, very asymmetrical. So you've got the North Island of New Zealand, and it's all broken up into little sections. And then the board starts with all these kauri trees or kori trees all over in each section, and then all of these kiwis in all of these sections as well, and then a human, and then if you're playing 4-player, you have the Maori as well. So they've each got 1, and the Kiwis are scoring points at the end of the game for the amount of Kiwis they have left on the table. The humans are scoring points for the amount of kauri trees and Kiwis they've killed. Possums is the other one. Possums near the humans as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking the trees aren't a faction. What's the other faction? Then the possums are getting points, I think, for the amount of possums. I forget how the possums work, actually. Then the Maoris are getting points for the amount of settlements that they've made. So like the humans go out first cutting down trees, then eventually they become like aware, or however it was described, they have the good relationship with the Maoris, so then they start hunting the Kiwis. Then whenever there isn't whenever there's nothing in a section, like a tree's been knocked down, then the Kiwis die because there's nothing for them to hide. So I think then the possums come in, or whatever. So, but do a terrible job of explaining it, but it looks stellar. Like, really good game, really nice artwork, looks really cool on the board. Nice little wooden pieces for all the various bits. Looks really, really good. Really looking forward to that coming out. I think it's going to be an Essen release, I think is the hopeful plan.
I wonder if this is all part and parcel of the little journeys that Mark's been doing over the last couple of months, because I know he spent some time in Japan. So
yeah, I think I was certainly assuming that Tukuri, or Dinosaurs Love Sake, as I call it, and Sumo, I think is probably something to do with that, at least. Yes. But yeah, he's got some really good games on that line now. He's getting a hell of a nice catalogue.
I think him. And we kind of need. I don't know. We kind of need that. Yeah. A nice little kind of. I mean,
we should have him on. Eventually.
No. No.
No?
No, because do you know what? Because he's too bloody good at the old podcasting thing. Because you and him, this is what it'll be like, right? Right?
What have I done wrong?
No, this is what it'll be like. You and him used to hang around, and you used to do the kind of the Facebook group
Oh yeah, we
quizzes
did. I always
and stuff
forget
like
we did that.
You
I
did that. You
completely
did that.
forget
And
we
it was
did
like
that.
it was almost like. Do you know what it would be like? It'd be like when it would almost be kind of like, I guess, Bob Mortimer when he's joined in Would I Lie to You, and then all of a sudden he's okay, and your man, what's his face, Vic Reeves Vic Reeves then turns up out of nowhere to join the show for like one evening.
So who are you in this?
Who am I? I'm probably
You're the host.
what's
his
name?
chops?
Lee Mack.
Rob Brydon.
Am I Rob?
No, Rob Brydon's the host.
I'm Rob Brydon, am I?
Yeah, you're.
I'm
so does that
lovely.
make me Bob Mortimer and him Vic Reeves?
I think so, yeah. In this
I
kind
think
of
you're
illustration.
a bit more Bob Mortimer than
Oh,
I
you
am.
think-
You're definitely more quirky than I am. I'm pretty up the middle, mate.
So what are you? Are you Lee Mack then? In this kind of thing, or are you that other guy? You
probably.
that David boy that's like?
No, I'm definitely not. As anal as I can be about things.
Well, I didn't know
But I
that.
suppose I am. I can be very one way about things. So maybe I am a
Maybe
bit
you am.
David.
What's his face? This is gonna annoy me. We have to check this. We can't.
The
you
one
know.
show. Not
You
one
know,
show.
Peep Show. My goodness, why are you
Peep
not
Show,
even
thank
getting
you,
that
not
right?
one
Oh my
show.
goodness, what? Right.
David.
We're going to check this right now. This is how... Do you know what? This is like when you get two old guys who obviously their memories are going. Kind of like
I think
trying to
I'm
remember.
probably somewhere between David and Lee Mack. Yeah, I
think so.
You're definitely Bob Moore.
And definitely David Mitchell, isn't it? Mitchell and Webb.
David
Luke,
Mitchell,
isn't it?
thank you. Yes.
It's
yeah.
almost like Mitchell and Webb, isn't it? That's probably more likelihood. It is more probably like Mitchell and Webb. Like you end up, you're like, you're basically like, you're Dave Mitchell sitting there doing Would I Lie to You, and I'm sitting there as Bob Mortimer, and we're having the best time, because he's like covered in bees. And I remember the time I used to take my own teeth out and then soapy glue them back in with a little bit.
So Bob Mortimer.
A little bit of Marmite, but you would never have that. I grew up. I didn't grow up on, but I do remember. The bit of workshop
shooting
up
stars and stuff. Shooting
even
stars.
before
oh
that,
God.
big
batshit crazy and fabulous.
big night. Shooting stars was amazing. It's like you don't get that, but going for
The dove from above.
The
Honorary ka.
But I remember the whole.
That's where Matt Lucas started as well, wasn't it? Because he was
He was
the drummer.
He was George Dawes. George Dawes. He's a baby. He's a baby. But anyway, so this thing would be like
anyway.
basically David Mitchell. You're David Mitchell, okay? Would I lie to
can
you?
probably be quite David Mitchell sometimes.
I'm Bob Mortimer.
Perplexed by the stupidity of the world.
I'm Bob Mortimer. I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, for 1 week only, Mark Cooke.
Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes.
Legend.
Hughes, get on.
Sparky, what a legend.
Mark Cooke rocks up, being Robert Webb, and then all I realise is that you've got that Mitchell and Webb look kind of going on, and the comedy's all back, and it's like he's never went away. They're the ones that
I genuinely keep forgetting that me and Mark did all that stuff.
You did all that.
We did so much of it.
You did all that. You're typically like the guys that turn around and go, "Are we the bad guys?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, we're not the bad guys.
Are we the bad
I've got skulls on my uniform. I think I'm the bad guy.
Anyway, so
skulls don't say good guy.
You don't say that. I think we need to go to the bunker because that'll end up well. So that's what I'm worried about. It's obviously kind of like going against my kind of my ongoing kind of insecurities in life, which is absolutely fantastic.
Another game that was a nice one.
Yeah.
There's the new from Hachette and
I know
whoever it actually comes from. It's Corridor Pac-Man. That's I've played Corridor once ages ago. That's a good, fun, abstract game. Real good.
You're reading my mind. My mind is being read by you, because I was going to mention that, because I knew that Flavian, who wonderful, wonderful man. Can we just say how
just
absolutely
beautiful human being?
He's such
beautiful
in
human
general,
being.
just such in general, such the. You know what I mean? He's just.
God damn, he looks good in a Pac-Man suit. I mean, a suit literally, looking like the screen of Pac-Man. Two-piece suit. He looks bloody good in it. I tell you.
Did you want to eat his pills?
No, but I gave him a bloody good hug as always.
Did you? Of course,
there's a few people who I literally just I'll just go like, right, before I go do anything, I'll go bum and bum and bum and just.
I could just.
Because I know they're going to be so busy for the rest of the weekend as well.
Yeah.
Flav is super busy.
He's super busy
over things, these expos.
Yeah.
So I know there's the chance that I'll get to see him and just have a quick catch up and check the world as well with everyone and have a bloody good hug. So Flav's like one of my first stops. I will always go. And
I can just imagine you going up to him and squeezing him. And he ends up like a ghost in Pac-Man, just being like a set of eyes that end up going back to the spawn point before he comes back again in his suit. Kind of thing. I think.
Yeah, but the Pac-Man corridor looks great. Well, sorry, we demoed it. It was great fun. It's really good.
Corridors is so much. How does it differ?
So the way it works
corridor?
is, so you. We played it without adding walls to it, which it definitely I think needs, because Pac-Man otherwise he could move too freely.
Yeah.
So you start off with essentially a ghost. You've got 4 ghosts at kind of like the north point of the south and the west and the east point on the gridded board. You start off with a load of walls set up, I think, in a standard way. So we demoed it obviously, so it's kind of all set up ready for us. Then there's a power pill in like each
corner.
Not quite corner, but nearly in the corner of each bit. Pac-Man starts in the middle. Each turn, Pac-Man can move 2, and each ghost moves 1. So Pac-Man does 2 movement orthogonally, and each ghost you move 1. If they're in line of sight, so if they start on a perpendicular line with Pac-Man, they can move 2. If Pac-Man eats a power pill, which he's trying to do, you're trying to either eat Pac-Man 3 times or Pac-Man's trying to get all 4 power pills. If he eats a power pill, he instantly gets to move 3 and can eat a ghost, which takes a ghost out of the game.
Yeah.
Until the ghosts eat Pac-Man, where he resets to the middle and each of the ghosts reset to the edge. And the power pills stay where they are until he's got all 4 of them. And my mate Steve absolutely trounced me, Elliot and Ian at it, but it was great fun, because the demo version we were playing was a giant version of it, so that was quite cool.
That's always good. That's what I do. I do enjoy.
Yeah, really, really fun version of the game. Really fun.
I do enjoy the what did I play? Quahali, the burger game. You know what I'm talking about? You've got you've got the brown, the yellow, and it looks like basically you're making a huge burger.
Sorry, I know the one you mean.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So you play the mega version of that. The small version's obviously you got tiny disc. The big version, it looks like you're working in like McDonald's or Burger King, because there's the real temptation to kind of like, as you're playing, just pick it up and go, does this actually taste? This will taste like burger. And I always thought you could actually make it as kind of like a real life. One of the things I'm hearing around the campfire was standout games. There's usually a couple of really big kind of standout games that everybody's talking about it. I'm hearing good. I'm hearing there was good games. I think one of the things, Czech Games Edition were releasing kind of SETI. I've heard a little bit of a buzz about that. Obviously, Avalon. I've heard there was a lot of good games kicking about the castle. I think there was another Wayfarers of the Southern Tigris kind of game. I think there was Garphill.
I'll tell you a game I saw everywhere on the retailer stand. I think it must have only come out. I've not played many of their games, so I kind of don't really follow them, but I know their games have been very popular with White Castle and Red Cathedral and Salton Sea, but De Vere games I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Their new game Sand. I don't know how new it is, but it was on every retailer, and every retailer had a good amount of copies of it. So I was like, oh, this must be the latest release. And I wasn't aware of it, so I presume it must have been quite recently released.
I think,
but it was like there was still plenty of copies of it available. But by the end, towards the end of Saturday, so I don't know if it was like the hot game or not. But I just kept seeing it everywhere.
No, I've seen a lot of it's certainly influencer video at the moment. I've seen a lot of kind of like people like what's the name? Is it Cozy Rosie? I think their name is. They do a lot of video short stuff. They do. So I've certainly seen a lot of people kind of talking about it. Interestingly enough, I've not seen an awful lot of people actually do a review on it. But I don't know if that's the kind of the way that a lot of these things are going. Is that I think it says Thames and Cosmos that hire that kind of handle DeVere games. So they push out. They generally have. They're really good at kind of getting the word out, because I think they have like a crew of people who they'll send stuff out to, and they have their noise creators, which they know go into Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and make little videos and get the word out. And then I think afterwards they'll then do the kind of the critical stuff. So they then send out the kind of the review copies to the people who kind of write stuff. And I think they've had a really, really good run. I've heard some really... White Castle was apparently really good.
I've heard nothing but good things about White Castle.
Red Cathedral.
Like there's a hell of a lot of game in that small box kind of thing.
Yeah. So Sand, I'm interested. I like you. I don't think I've actually seen... I've seen a lot of videos of people taking it off
for one of those smaller DeVere boxes.
Yeah,
I picked it up eventually to look at it, because like I say, I kept seeing it everywhere. And I turned it over and I was like, yeah, it looks like a sort of fairly nondescript sort of Euro with some sort of quite nice artwork and theme. But like, God, it was heavy for a small box. There was a hell of a lot in it, that's for sure. There was a lot of cardboard in there.
Yeah, but they seem to be sticking to standard box sizes. I know this DeVere's pretty good.
Yeah, but they've got that kind of smaller box, isn't it? It's the same orientation as a regular Ticket to Ride box, but shrunk down by about a quarter.
They seem to be all their stuff seems to be in much smaller boxes. That's quite concentrated. I remember was at Pillar of Eternity, getting that box and saying, "Oh my goodness, this is actually like you said." You pick it up and you're going, "This is a heavy beast for kind of what's in it." But I'm just Sand was one, but I didn't really hear of anybody game of show kind of stuff. And in previous years, I've heard people kind of like going, "Oh, did you try this? Did you try that?" And everybody's ended up picking up a particular copy of a game.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of anybody sort of saying, "Oh, I didn't manage to get a copy of so-and-so that sold out." There wasn't, from what I gather, anything that was like blowing the market away, or like there was people sprinting to get, and I presume the only one was Dinosaurs Love Saki because it sold out so quick. But I know he only had like 50 copies or something like that.
That's a pretty good job. I don't know if Hashi were starting to actually sell games on the stand.
They had their own stand selling. They've got a massive stand and they had an actual sales bit. I know. I said, let's see. Even this is a little bit of a highlight because one of the things where I said to Flav, I was like, "Oh, what's your hot one that I should pick up?" And it was Lutz. He was the one. He was like, "Oh, this is really good." Mm-hmm. I didn't actually get it in the end, but it did look very nice, like a nice little game. But even Hachette didn't look like they had anything that was like, "Oh, you gotta get this." Like last year, it was Acropolis was the Hachette game.
Stomp the Plank as well. I mean, Stomp the Plank.
Stomp the Plank's great.
Stomp the Plank was great.
They had a giant Stomp the Plank, and we meant to play it after we played Blackman Corridor. I just realised we completely forgot, but it looked friggin' brilliant. I'm gutted we didn't do that. Now that I'm thinking about it,
that'll be amazing.
Stomp the Plank's fabulous. I remember they had like After Us last year, and they had Stomp the Plank and Acropolis. Or maybe Acropolis wasn't last year. Maybe Acropolis was the year before, actually.
There's a new version, and there's an expansion to Acropolis coming out.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
which will be interesting. Which
and an expansion for World Wonders, which I'm looking forward to as well. Actually, it's basically more World Wonders.
Just more
wonders. It's only a small box. Just got like 10 more World Wonders in it. Far Away had been a popular game, but I think a lot of people had already got hold of that.
Yeah, I've got it. I've still got it. I've
got
still
that
got it.
aircon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a kind of a 2-3 month one. I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a March one that's going to go, and I think everybody's looking for the kind of the September stuff. I'm not entirely sure. Are you having a break this week from playing games? Are you still going to be kind of on it? Are you got Oathsworn this week again?
I think the plan is still to play Oathsworn on Wednesday. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. So hopefully me and Elliot can get in a game of Rumble Slam as well.
I saw the I don't often use the word obscene, but there was an obscene number of Rumble Slam purchases.
Yeah, some of them were his.
Did you literally just go up and say?
Well, TT Combat are very clever. They're very clever.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Did they actually pick the card?
They always
put it in
they always do
pocket?
event exclusive games for a start.
Right. Okay.
So, not games. Sorry. So they had an event exclusive. They will come eventually, but so they've got another game called Carnivale, which is set in this cool Venetian, old Venetian fantasy where there's a like a rented time and space has opened up and everything's got a bit weird and fucked up. And every now and then they do a little crossover team. Do you know what Punchinella is?
Yeah.
Like that kind of jester of
it's like
Venice thing. They did like a Punchinella wrestling team, which used to be one of the old exclusives. And then this year they did a Carnivale one, which is there's like this faction in Carnivale he's kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein. He like sews things and people and stuff and monsters together. So I always make sure I go to TT Combat straight away and get those. So some of those were event exclusives, and then basically some of the ones were just the ones I hadn't managed to get hold of yet. And I was like, I might as well. I mean, I think I spent money at TT Combat on 4 separate occasions because I was like, right, okay, I'll go get that. So I was like, got the event exclusives. So I was like, okay, cool, go stick them in my bag and stow them away. And then I was like, right, carry on, get on with work. Got with work again. And then eventually I come back round near TT Combat and I'm like, I'll have a little bit more of a look. I haven't got that team yet. Yeah, I'll pick that team up. I might as well get the superstar that goes with that team. Okay, so I went I just could pick up the other one, couldn't I? I suppose I could get that.
You might as well.
And then they had a new. Elliot had decided he really wanted to get a luchador team, and there's a the luchador team that they had out originally is called Lord of the Rings, and it's a load of little hobbit luchadors. Yeah. And so they not only just recently released a new set of luchadors, and I thought, okay, so they're quite new and they didn't have many copies of them, so I thought, well, okay, I haven't got them yet. I've got Lord of the Rings, and there's a few copies of them, so I'll pick up the new one, so just in case it's sold out tomorrow when he gets here, and if he actually wanted it, I've got it and he can have it. Yeah. So I was like, so we're prepared. Yeah. Well, he still decided he still wanted Lord of the Rings. He could have had either one. There was still a copy there. So I've got the new one. So yes, I did.
I need to get this. I need to get this.
You do.
Yeah.
Or when you come to Aircon, I'll make sure I bring it with me and we can play it.
That'd be fantastic. You got to make sure that's definitely going to happen. You're going to continue with Oathsworn this week then? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's certainly the 2 lads that were with me. They were all free for Wednesday, so I just need to check with Summers if he is free. What are you going to play? What are you planning to play this weekend?
I'm thinking of learning Moonrakers.
Doing a bit of negotiation in space.
It's a bit of negotiation in space.
It's a bit of
I haven't
got around to playing it yet.
It's apparently very, very. It's Ivy Studios, so it's their usual kind of high, ridiculously good production.
Very good production
values, but they seem to do quick sugar because they're quite impressive because they seem to be one of these companies that are like, we're going to put together a how to play video, we're going to have an actual play session video, we're going to do a really good rulebook video, and the actual quality of the games are pretty good as well. And the games themselves seem to be pretty good. Some of my friends, I tried a bit of Mythic Mischief. Yeah, that's pretty solid. My friends tried to play a 3-player game and bounced off it a little bit. But
Mythic Mischief 3-player.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play it 3-player.
Nah.
I'd play it 2v2 or 1v1.
Or 1v1. Yeah, I don't think it works as a kind of a 3-player because you've got to have one person off against kind of 2 teams, and I don't think it works. So potentially going to get some more Moonrakers, maybe a bit more Star Wars Unlimited because I'm not loving it. I'm liking it in an awful lot. My gonna obviously been.
I was wondering when you were going to get to this. At least now I know that you've opened it.
Look, it's opened. It's been out on the table. It's all punched. It's all been ready to play. I have been going through the rules. I did look at Gaming Rules, Paul Grogan's kind of 7-minute video on how to play it, and the dice mechanics and everything seem absolutely fantastic. So good. So that's another one.
It's hard to get your head around it though, isn't it? That first bit, I can't remember what it was like to read it because that was so long ago that I first ever read it. But I know when I explain it, I'm like, I just do example rolls. Like I'm like,
it's not
because it just doesn't work like anything else.
No, it's not. It's like
very much a thing of its own.
Roll 5s. Okay, I've rolled 2 5s, so I'm going to roll those 2 dice again. And if I get a 1 on one and if I get a 4 on the other, that means I've got a 9 attack and a 6 attack. That's simple as. I've got 2 dice over here. I've got one of them as a 4. The other one is a 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of my dice 2 and I'm going to put my 4 up to 5, which means I can then roll it and I can get the extra hit. I mean, it's the placement and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. I think it's like
whether you go for a definite hit or you make more of them 5s and try and get more hits and stuff like that, or you keep some for buffing your rolls if you miss your re-rolls and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to kind of finally. I've had basically there was my free time is very much based on the weather because I have a garden to upkeep in terms of fences and paint and gardens and moors, and with this rain kind of coming on and off all the time, as soon as it hits a dry patch, which is obviously on the days that I was meant to be playing board games, I have to get out with a lawnmower, otherwise I get Paddington Bear stares, and we don't want Paddington Bear. You know exactly what I mean by a Paddington Bear stare, don't you? Yeah, I've had many of them.
Yeah,
many of them.
The only other thing I'm going to be playing.
Oh, what? Do you have any idea what it's like? Because, Elliot's a massive One Piece fan, and I really enjoyed the live action show.
The live action show's amazing. I've not, which is one of the things I'm trying to learn. I've had a blast with Lorcana. Star Wars Unlimited is growing on me now that I've actually built some of my own decks. Building the decks is the way forward in order to get the most out of the game. If you do it with the basic decks, I think you're going to just build off. The only other thing that I'm looking at is Doomlings.
Oh, I saw that in Zatu's booth, and it looked like it might be quite fun.
Yeah, it seems to be like Flux. Play a card.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, kind of. Play a card, see what happens, work on it, but that's about it. Apart from playing wise, I have been playing Viticulture World. But I'm putting together I'm putting together a written piece about Viticulture World because I've got a lot to unpack on Viticulture World.
I've been meaning to do a written piece or two on the website. I have ideas.
You need to. You can do that. You can just do that. You can do that. you can do that. However, and if people do decide to do that, where can they find us on the internet webs?
Weird.wizards.com.
Yeah, or .co.uk for the written
or
stuff.
Or .co.uk
as well. Or we've got Instagram and I don't know, all these other different wonderful places. Nobody does Instagram. Apparently Google.
I haven't got a nice enough arse for Instagram. That's what you got to do with Instagram, isn't it?
I'm gonna find out when I hug you.
Oh, it's good. It's good for grabbing. It just doesn't have quite the aesthetics.
I think, as you get older, you appreciate what feels good when you hold it as opposed to what looks good. There's a big difference between the two.
My wife has always taken the mick out the fact that I don't have an arse. And then
I don't have one either.
Powerlifting and when you start powerlifting, you're doing like 140 kilo squats. You get an arse.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I've got some junk in my trunk now. Yeah.
Is that why she's calling you the boiled egg smuggling boy now? Is that what she's doing? Is it Patsy and absolutely fabulous? She goes, she had buns like 2 boiled eggs in a handkerchief, basically. So there we go. But go to the various different faces bright and early for the daily races. If you were at UK Games Expo, I hope you had a fabulous time. If you were at UK Games Expo, then make sure to jump on the Facebook page, we'renotwizards.com. No, it's not. Facebook.com/we'renotwizards. You'll find us. That's the Facebook page. Just jump on and comment, and for goodness sake, somebody comment, making us feel lonely at the moment. It's not like that. It's all fabulous and all good. But it's time to go and disappear off into the nether. Into the nether? Speaking of bums again. So, remember... So it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and...
stay spicy.
Until the next time. Goodbye.
Ta-ra.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.